and we love George Allen, and we're so glad that he's back as a three-time winner at the Shad planking. George.
Well, straight, let me move this here. That's whoever that is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Ruritans, community leaders, friends, cheerful, optimistic patriots all, good afternoon. It is great to be with each and every one of y'all. John, thank you for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for your lifetime of enduring encouragement, and most importantly, you're an inspiration to so many of us. John, there's folks that have gone through what you've gone through in your life and they become discouraged. You've never been discouraged. You keep fighting, and that inspires all of us. John, thank you so very much for your leadership. It's great to be with the national president from Virginia, Mrs. Luter, and it's proud that Bobby Wren and Robert Bain and President Castle, and wherever Courtney's gone off to, wherever Courtney is, my goodness, I'm glad I didn't have to immediately follow your great national anthem. And it's wonderful to be with all of you all here. I'd like seeing the folks in the bright or blaze yellow Allen t-shirts here. Thank you all for being here. By the way, all those t-shirts, Allen t-shirts, are made in the USA. And thank you all for asking me to be your speaker this year to the Ruritans. I say this at the 64th annual Shad planking. So I have a speech here with the second pick. The Washington Redskins select. Wait a second. This is my brother's speech. NFL draft next week. How the heck did this get in here? Well, let me paraphrase another coach. Hall of Fame coach Marv Levy. I know there's a Buffalo Bills guy here somewhere. There you are. Marv Levy, who once coached the Tribe at William & Mary, once said, "I can't think of any other place I'd rather be than right here and right now at the Shad planking with each and every one of you." And I'm sure that each and every one of you has that same sort of view, that there's no other place you'd rather be than right here and right now at this Shad planking. Now the third Wednesday in April is firmly affixed on my calendar. I always get a calendar book every year, and you put in your wedding anniversary. On ours is Susan and mine is June 7th, and put in birthdays of family members and Mother's Day, those sort of things. And the other thing I put in is find out when the third Wednesday in April is, because that's the Shad planking. And you know, that's just going to be a great place to be, because there's all sorts of wisecracks you can make about, you know, it's the only place you can have food that has toothpicks embedded in it. Then you make all the fun that people make of the shad and what it tastes like. But I've noticed that the longer the afternoon goes on, the more tasty the fish seems to take, and we know the reasons for that. Go ahead, have another sip with that. But the real reason that I love the Shad planking so much, it really is the preeminent, the best bipartisan political event in the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. Every year it seems to get better and better. The pines, of course, have grown taller every year. The crowd becomes more hardy and more enthusiastic every year. It's more diverse and more inclusive than the event before. And everyone is welcome, and that's the way it should be. People from all parties, from all sorts of backgrounds that come here to see longtime friends. And then there's a lot of new friends that are made here at the Shad plankings. And that's, in the midst of all of the fun, it's all raising money for the Wakefield Ruritans, who are just such a wonderful organization helping out people in their communities. And the Shad planking ultimately is a way of all of us coming together and sharing all the benefits and our love of our Commonwealth of Virginia. And indeed, this is the way that politics ought to be, where people get to talk to one another, face to face, eye to eye. And that's really an important approach. Now, sadly, since our last Shad planking last year, We lost two leaders from this neck of the woods since the last time we got together, Congressman Bob Daniel and State Senator Elman Gray. Some of y'all may recall, some of you may not, you're too young to remember, but these two individuals in two different parties actually began their political careers against one another. But through the years, you know what? They were statesmen. They worked together to get things done for the good of the people that they served. And that's exactly the kind of statesmanship that is sorely missing in Washington these days. Heck, they haven't even passed a budget in almost 3 years. And it looks like they're going to go for 4 years without a budget. Imagine what would happen if Robert Bain said to the Ruritans, we're not going to have a budget. Just spend the money, and even if donations aren't likely to come in these tough economic times, just keep spending. And up in Washington, that's what they're doing. They keep taxing, spending, borrowing, and printing more money, handing out IOUs to foreign countries and excuses to we, the American people. Now, folks, it doesn't have to be that way. I know from experience, and John mentioned it when I was governor, the Democrats controlled the Virginia General Assembly, but we worked together. We abolished the lenient dishonest parole system. We instituted truth in sentencing. We put in high academic standards and accountability in schools. We reformed welfare by making sure that able-bodied, able-minded people are working rather than being dependent on the government. We froze college tuition, which mattered a lot to parents and especially students. We also reduced taxes by over $600 million and built up the rainy day fund. And we let the world know that Virginia was open for business. And with that pro-business, pro-jobs, pro-entrepreneurial spirit, over 300,000 net new jobs were created in the private sector. So my patriotic friends, that's our mission. Again, now more than ever, with the high underemployment and unemployment, this weak economy, we need to be united and together. And we want to all send a message to the world that America is open for business again. As John said, this is a pivotal election year. This is going to be an election year, 2012, that determines the trajectory of our country, whether we continue declining or begin ascending again. I think all of you all here envision a better future than what we're having to endure these days. Shad Plankers, I believe it's time for America's comeback. And it's a comeback based upon foundational principles of freedom, of personal responsibility, and equal opportunity for all, rather than dictates, mandates from a bloated, nanny, meddling federal government in Washington. Now, folks in Washington may think our economy needs another jobless stimulus that puts us deeper in debt. But Virginians understand that we need fair, simple, and a competitive tax system, as well as smart and reasonable regulations, so that we're reinvigorating the entrepreneurial spirit of our country and have businesses investing and creating jobs. Washington may think we need more big government programs like Obamacare. But I can see that Virginians know Obamacare is not, quote, a great achievement, but it's a major impediment to small businesses hiring while health care costs keep going up. And I would love to be the deciding vote to repeal Obamacare and replace it with personalized health savings accounts. We need people in charge, not the government, of our health care. Now, and Washington may deceptively say that they're for an all-of-the-above energy policy. Meanwhile, they're saying no to the Keystone Pipeline. They're saying no and restricting access to energy resources that we have here in Virginia, from the coal fields to off our coast. And Virginians understand that we in America have plentiful supplies, that we're #1 in the world when it comes to energy resources with our coal, our natural gas, and oil resources. And they also understand in Virginia that if we unleashed our American energy resources, we'd have more affordable fuel, more affordable food, electricity. There'd be hundreds of thousands of new jobs being created here in America. We'd be a more competitive country for investment and jobs. We'd be less vulnerable to hostile outside forces. And best of all, we'd be keeping our money here in the United States of America. Now, folks, the people who know me know that I'm frugal, is the term I use. Some use others. I watch every penny. I don't like to spend money foolishly. I hate a waste of food, electricity, water, and all the rest. And whether it's your money or mine, I hate wasting. And in fact, our family, Susan and my kids, hear me saying cut off those lights more than anything else, I guess, around our house, just like I did in our offices. And we even reuse paper. There's two good sides to paper. That's how I got Bruce's NFL draft speech filed up in here. But I'm naturally frugal, and I'm always looking for the cheapest gas prices around. The best app on an iPad is Gas Buddy. I've paid for my iPad 3 times over with Gas Buddy. The best price I saw was $3.77 right when you get off the interstate on 460. At any rate, these days, though, people are paying about another $40 more every single time that you fill up compared to 3 years ago. In fact, if you think of $40, heck, that's 2 shad planking tickets. And we've put together a website, toomuchatthepump.com, that figures out exactly how much in your vehicle that you're paying. Now, we're making history here, folks. This is the 64th annual shad planking. I think this is bound to be the first time an iPad has ever been used at a shad planking. And so I asked your president, what you do is you plug in the vehicle you have and the make, and it says how much more your cost to fill up. President Luter has a Ford Edge, is that correct? Let me get all that in here. Now, the average price of gas in January of 2009 was $1.85. The average price now is $3.92 a gallon. Now, it cost you, President Luter, $37 to fill up in January of 29, your Ford Edge. It is now costing $78.40. That's $41 more to fill up every single time. Folks, this is affecting folks, particularly in rural areas and suburbs, and a lot of working families, lower and middle income working families. I was in the Shenandoah Valley a few weeks ago when I was doing this calculation on my iPad at a fill-in station. And there was a young mother with 2 of her children there, and I waited till she filled up or finished pumping to do this calculation on her. She had a Subaru Legacy. I noticed on the gas pump that she'd gotten $20 of gas. And I said, gosh, that's an even number. You only got $20 worth? That was it? She says, no, $20 is all that I could afford. And that only got her 5.1 gallons for $20. And I asked her, I said, if you actually could afford to do the fill-up, which would have cost her a little over $30 more for fill-up, I said, if you had that extra $30, what would you do with it? And she said, well, it could help pay for dinner for our family. That's the real world. That's the real world, and that's why if I'm hired on to work for you and your values and our fellow Virginians, in addition to, on day one, introducing a constitutional amendment for a balanced budget and line item veto authority for the president, and withholding members' pay if they don't get appropriations bills done on time, the other bill I'm introducing on day one is to allow us in Virginia to produce oil and natural gas off our coast and use those revenues for roads and transportation. Now, folks, a lot of us are affected by these punishing counterproductive energy policies in Washington. And getting ready for today, I got to thinking about these high gas prices and what they mean for community programs supported by the Wakefield Rurtans. Food is more expensive. We all know that. That means it's more expensive at food banks. I've heard from folks at food pantries that the Wakefield Rurtans and others support that a lot of folks that are going to food pantries and food banks these days, a year or two ago, they were contributing to those food banks. Now they are not just volunteering, they're actually receiving it. Fire and rescue squads, and if there's any firefighters or rescue squad folks here, raise your hands if you all are here. Just raise your hands. I know I ran into them, they're probably at the outside. But you know what? Here, In Sussex and rural areas, they have to drive 10 miles, sometimes 30 miles. And these high fuel prices are affecting the firefighters and the volunteer rescue squads that are affected by these higher fuel and diesel costs. So when I started thinking about all the money that is normally spent by the campaigns, and John, you've been through these as well, on these spirited sign wars. A lot of folks said, gee, I'm worried, I haven't seen all your signs along the road, all the way up the road. Well, I thought that we could better spend that money another way. So I thought of doing something different this year. And I would ask Robert Bain if you could please come forward. Robert. The Ruhrtown's motto, it's a great motto for all of us: fellowship, goodwill, and community service. And it's my pleasure, Robert, to present you a check for $2,500 made out to the Wakefield Ruhrtowns. I'd much rather be spending that money helping the Ruhrtown help others. And we wish you all the best. And thank you for your good work helping out people here. So thank you to the Ruhrtowns for all your good works helping out our fellow citizens, and my fellow Shad plankers from all over our blessed Commonwealth of Virginia. I simply ask you all to keep smiling. Keep smiling, because our principles, our ideas, our proven solutions are going to help our fellow Americans achieve their dreams. So stay strong, stay positive for freedom, and may God continue to bless our country with people of your character and fighting spirit for a better America. Thank you all so very much.
That concludes our program today, but I must say again, George, thank you.
By the way, I am proud. I'm wearing this Virginia Ruhrtowns. I'm proud to be a Virginia Ruhrtown. We all
All right, we're going to resume our entertainment now. Thank you all for coming. Hope to see you next year.